Yo, my peoples, what's up? Welcome to the One Stop Co-op Shop. Jason here. Today I have a crowdfunding preview for Earth 2053. Tipping point. The fate of the world is in our hands. Are we going to build a sustainable future for the human family or succumb to dirty, world-destroying pollution? This one's a cooperative game for 1 to 4 players in which you are playing world governments and you are managing the resources and needs of your populace. You have access to various advanced technologies. Matter of fact, there are tons of technologies that you'll have in your possession. Over the course of the game, your challenge will be to manage your resources, pay those costs that can often be pretty difficult, but if you play well, you can do it, and build an ever-growing grid system of technologies that can deal with these various disasters that will be chugging out pollution onto this board. One of the main selling points of the game, as you can see, is this seesaw. Over the course of the game, if we do good things, we'll be able to put these chips on there and get the balance over to our side, but the game is going to fight back and give us pollution that will rebalance the seesaw. Can we make sure that we get that seesaw over on this side and fill this entire row before too much pollution tips us over and makes us lose the game? I'm going to talk a little bit about this component, which is the central drawing point of the game. I'll go through some of the basic rules and demonstrate a couple of rounds in this preview. As always, the One Stop Co-op Shop does not take any compensation for our crowdfunding previews. We just want to help you make an informed backing decision. So let's get into some channel announcements and then jump right in. We are the One Stop Co-op Shop, a gaming empire, and your one stop for solo and cooperative gaming goodness. And so here is that central component, the seesaw. As I said in the intro, winning is really simple. Take all of your positive tokens that you get over the course of the game, fill the entire section over here. That's a win. A loss is if at any time I start placing these gray pollution tokens here and the seesaw is such where it is landing flush on the table. That is a loss. Now, the componentry is going to be really important. A lot of gamers are going to have questions about that. This is cardboard. I'm not exactly sure what the final componentry is going to be comprised of, what kind of cardboard, if there's going to be another aspect to it, because I know gamers are going to know, does this balance? Is this going to be something that lasts over the long term? What I will say is, yes, that's an important question, but the way that the balancing works, I don't know if it matters too much. There will always be a certain amount of tokens that provide the weight that will make the seesaw tip. So I think that the tokens are going to have a lot to do with the balance of this thing. Check out the Kickstarter, what they say about the central component, and see if you like what they are saying. So here is the central playing area for the player. So I am Jose Martinez. There's a couple of characters. They're going to have some common powers and a personal power. I've also chosen to represent China just because they like Jose Martinez and how they represent Chinese interests. There are other countries as well, and I imagine that there's room for lots more. This card will tell you how many cards that you will draw from the central project deck at the beginning of the game. So that is 7. And also the resource layout for the needs of the peoples. So this is a wheel of 9 different sections. So you got stuff like education and justice and public health, etc. Each of these 9 wheels are corresponding to a suit. So there's 9 suits of cards in the deck. They will all start out at different levels of development. My justice, unfortunately, is lagging behind. However, I have some advancements in public health in a couple areas. I start at level 3 over there. What this generally means, a couple of things, but for now, that determines my starting money in all of these areas. The higher the level, the more money I have. As I go through the game, I am going to be called upon to spend certain type of money from certain places. So a card like this would require money from the housing section. So I would need 5 money specifically in the housing section to buy it and then supplement with money from anywhere. So currency is not just common. You have these lanes and you have to manage how much money comes in there, how much you spend in order to be able to play your cards effectively. At the beginning of the game, we're going to deal a level 1 disaster, and then a face down player card, and the grid will build from here. This is the source of bad stuff. After all the players pass, it will add 2 pollution tokens to the seesaw. That's no good. Defeating it gets 2 preservation tokens. So that's the main way in which these 2 resources get added onto the seesaw. You'll notice it has these arrows. That is how we defeat the card. So I have a beginning card over there. There always has to be a face down card next to some arrows in order to start building what the game calls influence. Over the course of the game, I'm going to be able to take some actions, play some cards, or do some things on the resource wheel that can add influence onto the card. Once I add to satisfy the arrows, sometimes they'll be on the side, sometimes there'll be a couple of arrows. Whatever condition I meet, I'm able to defeat that and turn the disaster face down and get the reward. That is what you're going to be occupied with throughout the course of the game. As you can see, this is a level 1. They go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Level 5 cards. Holy Toledo. Look at all these arrows that need to be filled. Your actions throughout the game are going to be playing cards. You got to pay for them and then fire off the power. So playing cards is pretty simple. Just find a place near a card and put it adjacent. So it does not necessarily have to be that you connect colors. Like I could put it down here and that would be fine. Matter of fact, that's part of the conversation of the game in multiplayer. You talk about what colors you have, try to make chains, etc. So that is an aspect of multiplayer, coordinating that play. Solo, really what you want to do is try to coordinate those colors and focus as much as you can. Because if I play this card over here, then I would get a bonus. Every player has a different iteration of that bonus. So that would be this. For each link, I would get 1 money in the same category. This category is justice, so that would get me 1 coin if I were able to play that. However, let's not jump the gun over here. You gotta pay for it first, and then you can get the bonuses. Order is very important. In this one, gender diverse media, I have to pay 16 of any token, which in this game, 16 is a lot. So looking around my wheel, I clearly have enough money, but that would kind of wipe me out. However, I don't have the resources to just pay for and a lot of other these cards. This is the most reasonable one, but I only started with 1 in Justice, so I wouldn't be able to buy that card. You have to meet the prereq. So looks like I'm stuck playing with gender diverse media. I'll make it work. So in order to do so, I need to find 16 coins. There is a strategy to spending off of your wheel. You want to leave yourself with the ability to play other cards either this turn or next turn and take from areas where you either have a lot or you don't plan on using that money. That is part of the strategy of the game. So I plan on focusing on this side of the board. So let's take from the bottom. So we got 2, 5, 7, 10, 12, 14 for now. Looks like I have to spend 16 in order to play this thing. In addition to the money that is available on the resource, I can also discard to gain 1 money of the same category. The 4 characters will distribute these a little bit differently. So some of them have stronger links, some of them have stronger discard. Jose Martinez, pretty standard for everything. So I got rid of 14. I could discard 2 cards. That would ordinarily get me 1 in education and 1 in water, 1 per zone. But because it is wild, let's go ahead and get rid of these, get my 16. Let's go ahead and pay for gender diverse media. So I now have that link. I get a grand total of 1 coin. Woohoo! That I get to place in that area. As the game goes on, I'll be able to add to this. Hopefully I get more justice cards so I can add those links. And so the good stuff I get for that action is I get to increase some of my needs. So I get to increase justice and innovation. Innovation for the Chinese is already pretty high. That is going to be my money engine. But you notice I'm hitting this little biomass zone here. That means that as I develop, I have to add pollution. And so we've already gotten started. I can add this pollution to any of the beginning rows over here. Once I add that, then I would add tokens here till I get to the end of the row and then start a whole new one. So I better get busy adding preservation tokens right away. So here's a pretty cool thing the game designers put in order to make sure that you are developing in a balanced way, not just shooting up one area. Every time I take one of the tokens and I move it up, and there are tokens that are ahead of it that are in adjacent spaces, I get bonuses. We started with a very weenie justice system, but we are moving up from 1 to 2. And able to trigger the adjacency bonus of both of these areas because when I started, this one was behind. So how I determine the bonus, I look between these two. This particular thing says influence, and I get that number of influence tokens. If I was here and I went up, then I would get that number, then that number. But as it is just the one, but I will take it. And this will go on the card that is on the board. Also, I'm able to get this, which is 5 coins of anywhere. I could put them anywhere. For a theoretical sake, let's just say I put it in justice. However, I am not going to hold on to it. So for my next action, besides playing a card, I can also fire off the last power. The last power here says spend 5 coins of any one category and put 1 influence on a face-down project. You want to do this. You want to get rid of these as much as possible. It won't be possible every single turn to knock one of these out, but you're going to see one every turn. You got to keep on top of them. Going to spend the 5 coins that I just got to get an influence right there. I have 1 more arrow to cover. And I played in such a way where I have 2 coins in-house, left that there. I got 3 cards in-house. I can discard, making that 5. So let's get rid of these and get rid of that for 5 coins. Boom! I got my influence on the first round. Love that. So we are going to get rid of that. That happens automatically and turn that over. The reward for defeating any disaster will be printed, usually preservation tokens. We don't like this initial imbalance, so we are going to strike back as the denizens of Earth and get the balance tipped over that way. Now, if we ever touch the ground over here, too bad. You still have to fill the entire preservation area in order to win. So that's the end of one full round. Had this disaster been face up, it would have added pollution tokens. We're not living that life. We're just going to go to the beginning of the next round. First thing that you do is you place a disaster card. So this deck is pretty thin. I am headed towards the 2s and the 3s, and it's a get one every round. So always behind the 8 ball. Acid Rain. Here are arrows on the one side and the other side. Fewer arrows, but I need to have more flipped cards. I can put it next to a flipped card, that's fine, but I need to get another flipped card down here somehow in order to be able to conquer this. Probably not going to happen this round. Ended the round with Wind Converter, so I draw 3 more cards, and it will always say draw that many projects depending on what the country tells you. I got a couple of projects in hand, and I also added some money. So as a side thing, I really appreciate that the game gives you the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 denominations. So it's like, just look at the level. I was level 4 over here. I added a 4. The 3 carried over. Got lots of technology money. 2s and 3s. I'm ready to rock. So here is another example of buying things and using your resources to do so. So this one will be 4 of any. I got plenty of technology, not much to spend it on. That is specific to that. I do have a technology card, but nothing demands technology. So it's available for anything. So let's go ahead and get this coal power band out there. It cost me 5, which I'll just take from here. I'm okay with that. Down to 2. Also, it requires me to lower the needs of the energy sector. It's a coal power band, so I'm just not going to have enough energy for the population. And so what that means is this aspect goes down. That's not terrible because I can still raise it up on future turns. You just have to watch how often you do that. I did make a link over here. It does count when I link with disasters, so I get an extra coin in orange. And also, as a reward, I get to take away 1 pollution token. That's going to come in super handy. Why? Because I absolutely do not have the resources to conquer this acid rain this turn. I got to get this flipped first. How do I do that? I would play this wind converter. So let's move that aside for a second. In order to flip a card, you would need to play a card with a power that allows you to flip. So you saw that in the previous example, I was able to raise the or fulfill the needs of that particular area. Instead of that, I can flip that color card, which means doing this, it now becomes a necessary receptacle for influence. So one influence here would conquer acid rain, but unfortunately, I do not have the capacity to do that now. I have 5 house that I need to get. I only have 2 right there, so womp womp. So instead of that, let's go ahead and play Prioritize Science. That cost me 10 of any. Don't have immediate use for the money down here right now, so let's go 3, 5, 7, 10. Don't have any synergies that I'm working on, so I could put it anywhere. Let's go ahead and put it next to this disaster. Can't put disasters next to disasters, so you might as well put our products over here. Once again, this is where the cooperation comes in. You can line up which priorities you play when in solo. Got to take what you can get. So I played this card because this raising the education is pretty nice. Do that in a second, but I want to have the cards. I absolutely need house cards in order to pay for this, so I want extra chances at getting at least 1 house card so I can get this flipped and get the influence going. I got 2 cards, neither of them are house, but at least it increases my options for next turn. End of the round. Remember, I had taken that 1 out from the power. Let's go ahead and put it back. Unfortunately, I get 2. I'm still tipped over because of the way that game distributes the weight, but you can see this will get away from me if I'm not careful. My ever-growing grid of projects and disasters going to get another one. We are at the start of round 3, the last of the level 1s in solo. Next round would be a level 2. So let's get this going, people. Oil platform explosion. So as you can see, the color matches over here. So you always look for a color match, and that's where it would go. That's not bad because I'm eventually going to flip this. It becomes a receptacle for this. It'll get cleaned, and then it ultimately add to this as well. Drew my cards, and I did get my house, but on the last pull. So it's a good thing I drew those extra cards with Prioritize Science. Excellent. So let's just get this over with right away. The move that I announced last turn, 5 house. And I'm going to spend, 1, 2, 3, 4 out of the house. Get rid of efficient materials. Was I going to miss you? Everything's good in this game. That is going to go over here. The adjacency comes first, that bonus. So I do get my 1 coin in orange. And then instead of advancing orange, I get to flip that. And now I'm ready to strike back against acid rain. How'd they fix acid rain in the 80s? Was that the whole thing of like getting rid of air conditioners or hairspray or something? I'm going to do something to take care of that. So now my main goal this turn is to get some influence. Whenever you can get it off the track, I think that is more beneficial. Save that 5 coins to get 1 influence when you need it. So let's go ahead and play Monetary Reform for 14 money. So before I get any bonuses, I got to pay for it. I have no cards that require this currency, the technology currency. So bye-bye, money engine. You are doing me good. So we got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And then let's take 1 off of the justice for 14. That covers me. So now you see a couple things. First of all, the power of the link. You do this adjacency thing first. 2 links, 2 coins. This is going to get flipped, hopefully at some point. So I'm going to need to build here if I want to continue these links. But that's nice to take advantage of for now. I get to increase that powerhouse by 1. I don't get any benefit off of that, at least immediately. Anyway, also improving my technology will spit more fumes into the air. Boo! Will this tip me over into oblivion? No. Preservation is still strong. The aspect of the card I really wanted, though, is this wild. So I can increase any of the tokens, and that's going to be right here. Why? Because this doesn't do anything for me. But here is influence. I get this level right there. So that gets me 3 influence tokens. And so that is 1, and that is 2. So here's a little bit of lack of clarity in the rules. This is where kind of putting a flag up, prototype. According to the rule book, immediately this turns over, which means you remove these 2 cubes and then the acid rain turns over, and then I would get my preservation tokens to put on the seesaw. So what happens to this third influence? So does it get gobbled up? I'm going to say no, because of the word immediate. So that third cube is going to be placed right over there to prep for the oil platform explosion. If that is wrong, I'm going to invite the game designer to go ahead and chime in the comments below. Either way, that was an awesome move. Let's go ahead and add some more tokens on this side, and any subsequent tokens would be added to another row. And my turn will continue with the cards that I have in hand and also the money that I have on the wheel. However, I think I'm going to call the demo there. There's lots more to explore. Oh, by the way, I forgot Jose Martinez's special power. If I get pollution by increasing one of these things, he reduces that by 1. So I was doing even better. So you have some special powers to explore. The other characters also have their own special powers on their advanced side. You have a giant number of projects to explore, but I think I gave you the idea of what you'll expect out of the deck. In case you're wondering, yes, this does go to a considerable size, especially in higher player counts. However, you can put cards on top of existing cards, so there will be a little bit of verticality to the central area. But at the end, you are going to have a big old grid of technologies, and hopefully you will emerge the victor. So that is my preview for Earth 2053 Tipping Point. As always, when the project is complete and fulfillment begins, the One Stop Co-op Shop will receive a copy and I will review the game for you in full. My sincere hope with this preview is that I showed enough of the game, enough of the fun of the game to see if it is worth your gaming time and your gaming dollar. This is Jason with the One Stop Co-op Shop. Morning, we will see you at the next stop.